if you like. So that is where I'm coming from. And the last show that I did was called Schizophrenia Part 1, where I showed as 4 artists, Sanchita, and then Sophie, Maya, and Fred. So the idea behind the show was to present my different styles and to have 4 biographies, 3 of which were fabricated. So when people came to the show, they thought that it was a group show, but actually it wasn't. It was a solo show. So people were like, oh yeah, so where's Fred and where's Sophie? And because they all had distinct styles. Maya's work was all to do with the body and very sexual. Sophie's work was all ethereal, fantastical landscapes. Fred's work was very cryptic, dark and amorphous and peculiar, and Sanchita's work was all socio-political. So this will be part 2, part 3, part 4. I mean, Martin Creed, he numbers his work, and for me, this is a start of the journey, and hopefully there'll be Schizophrenia part 1503, and the idea of positioning myself in the contemporary art scene is bollocks to me. It's not about that. If Saatchi arrived on my doorstep tomorrow and said I want to buy everything, I'd say, piss off. I don't want to sell to you. I mean, there are certain people who seem to have a monopoly. Jay Joplin, Saatchi, Gagosian, all these big players, and I'm like, well, no. You don't have to buy into that. You don't have to win the Turner Prize to be a great artist. It's quite significant we're doing this interview because today we'll find out if Runa's won, and we have the same surname. We're both Bangladeshi, and people were saying to me, oh, how do you feel? There can't be 2 Bangladeshi artists with the same surname on the scene. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm the maverick one. Maybe I'm the one that posthumously they'll be like, oh, there was Sanchita, she was there creating this work. And suddenly be like, bloody hell, look how much she did. So my whole ethos is just me on my own, sort of in a little house on the top of a hill, creating all this work, old school style, Van Gogh style, just creating, and whatever happens, that's beyond my control. But my job is just to make the shit. I've never felt part of the gang, the club. Like I said, I've met, for example, I met Tracy Emin, and she always comments on my clothes. Oh my God, you look so cool, but doesn't seem that interested in my art. Then none of them really take me seriously. All of them that I've met, they just think, who is this kid? And rather than me trying to fit in, I'm thinking, okay, I just do my own thing, and I seem to relate more to the people on the fringes. Why am I doing work with street kids and street kid musicians and kids living in slums and battered women and old people? And I mean, what is this compulsion? It's because I have some empathy and I feel some connection. And it's also because of my LSE background and having an interest in the developing world, and giving people who wouldn't ordinarily have access to the arts, giving them a chance to be part of that process and to see how art can be very empowering. And I loathe the term community arts projects. I think that's demeaning to the actual project. For me, it's just sharing my art, and also I learn so much from working with these people by hearing these stories and documenting these stories. And when I about 4 years ago, for years now I'd been seeing strange things and hearing voices and having sort of hallucinations, and sort of oscillating from extreme mania to the very darkest depths. And I thought, oh, it's Van Gogh syndrome. It's all part and parcel of being an artist. I thought this goes with the territory, and I thought this is normal. But then I had a diagnosis, and a psychiatrist said, when I casually sort of listed my symptoms, He said, no, you have a psychological condition. You have schizoaffective disorder, which is a cross between schizophrenia and having manic episodes. And I was stunned. I thought, oh, so you don't hear voices then? And so Fred, Sophie and Maya are the voices that I've heard, the characters that I've seen. And mental health issues, it's sort of tedious to go into it because it's sort of in vogue to be mad, and everybody wants to talk about their madness, and I'm not really jumping on the bandwagon, but it's I see that there are a lot of sick people around, and so mental illness is my next sort of, it's a huge area of fascination, and it's now filtered into my work, in terms of the book that I wrote, Eternal Pollution of a Dented Mind, and Volume 2, Dented, and my new novel, which is Portrait of Madness, the story of Sophie, Maya and Fred, and then the exhibitions that I'm doing and the next projects that I'm doing. So it's partly me wanting to just have a dialogue about what it is to have a condition, and also seeing how you can manage your condition without medication. So I've learned to manage it through being open about it, and by being open, it diminishes the power of these voices, because if you don't share it and if you hide it and you're secretive, they become stronger and they become more real, because your world, you just sort of get sucked into that world. So that's where the Sophie, Maya and Fred thing came. It's rooted in being really sick, and rather than it ending up me being a sort of footnote in a obituary saying, you know, Sanchita Islam killed herself or whatever, I've put it in my work.